Hey, welcome to episode 5 of CHAPcast. I'm Ashley Park, and I'll be speaking to bands, artists, gig promoters, venue owners, and label owners as well to help you guys keep up to date with what's going on with music in Scotland. Later on today, I'll have Tom Simmonds from Captain Tom's in Aberdeen, as well as Fat Hippy Records. But before then, I'm going to play a song by a band from Glasgow called Slowlight, and this is from their self-titled EP, that's just come out recently. This song is called Empty Handed, and this is Slowlight from Glasgow. Alright, okay then. I got Tom Simmonds from Captain Tom's and Fat Hippy Records and Live at Captain Tom's and many other projects, I'm sure.
That's me.
Alright, well I suppose the first thing I want to ask you is obviously the whole Captain Tom thing started off as a rehearsal space.
Yeah.
And so what made you want to open a rehearsal space? Was it you were a musician needing somewhere to practice, or did you want to look for new things, or?
There's so many different parts to it. I suppose the reality is I just finished a degree in applied physics and discovered that I was never ever going to do that for the rest of my life, because if I did, I would just hate myself and I couldn't do it. You know, that moment you realise that you can't do the thing that you've trained in, and a studio was an alternative. If I'm honest with you, a lot of it was born out of the fact that at the time I was running a really successful dance night with a chum of mine. And a big part of why I was going to open the studio on D Street was to use it as a base for all of that, somewhere to keep all our parachutes and nets and lights and things and stuff. You know, it was the 90s, man. You know,
That's what people did.
And then all of that kind of fell away, and I was still left with the option to sort of go and open a studio. I'd kind of done the work, as it were, with the pre-SYBT and the Aberdeen Enterprise Trust to get funding for it. And I suppose at that point, I'd already arrived at the point where nearly everybody I knew was in a band. And all I really wanted to do was play the guitar all day and get better at that. So I thought, well, if I can do this and make enough money for me to sit about and play the guitar all day and just have a bit of fun, then why not, you know?
Oh, why not indeed?
Yeah. Aye.
So you were saying that, well, you Q came along in like the year 2000. So when did you actually start doing Captain Tom's Studio? When was the first studio in D Street?
We officially opened on the 5th of May 1997.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So at this point, we're just coming up to our 18th anniversary.
Exciting time.
Mächtig.
Oh, well. So have you noticed trends in music changing things throughout, like different types of bands and acts coming in? Or?
There's a little bit of that. One of the things I like about Aberdeen and its music scene is that because we don't really have a music industry, is that we don't have a lot of bands chasing a sound of the time, if you know what I mean. People just go into a room to make the sound that they want to. And to a certain extent, they don't even care if anybody else likes it. Or in fact, if it offends people, that's sometimes a bonus, you know.
You're a moron. Now shut up and sit still.
And that was Pre-Op Cop by Dear John on Fat Hippy Records. Anyway, so after obviously the rehearsal space thing, you went on and made the label Fat Hippy Records.
Yeah.
And so how did that come about? What made you want to do that? And I'm sure you've been asked that a million times.
I have. And the answer is typical of me, is that I'd been managing this band called Aerial, who were signed to a London label called Fantastic Plastic.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'd got $5,000 from them and gone to Riverside in Glasgow and blown it all, recording an album and stuff. And basically everything went horribly wrong. They wanted us to sign a contract that would have left us all financially responsible for anything that happened. So if it hadn't worked out, the band would have been left, $20,000 in debt each. And we were just like, well, we can't sign that. Wise up. And so we kind of got to that point and didn't go for it. Drove to London, had a big argument with the record label. But in very words, it was going through that process of being right there, because there was a moment when Aerial were above Oasis and Blur in the Scottish indie charts and stuff.
Okay,
We kind of felt like we were almost there, and then it was almost like the rug was half pulled out from under our feet, and you're like, well, how are we going to do this and stuff? And at the end of it, I just felt, this is ridiculous. I hate the way that this is all structured. I'm going to go back to Aberdeen and create my own version that's nicer and just helps people release music.
Yeah.
And that's why I started Fat Hippy, and I mean, we went mental in the first, sort of 20 months. We did, 30 releases or something like that. I mean, it was just stupid.
Yeah.
We just absolutely 100% went for it.
Well, that's the thing, when you have a new idea, you get quite enthusiastic about
Yeah.
it, and you just throw money at it sometimes.
Yeah, well, the other thing was, there was literally a backlog of really good bands jamming at the studio, none of whom had an outlet to release their music. So when we started, it was just a queue of people wanting to get involved. You're like, oh, you're good, I want to do that. You're good, I want to do that. I want to do that. You're all good bands. Let's just all go for it. And it was like 1 or 2 releases every month for the first sort of year and a bit.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Back in was it Flight 19?
Flight 19 and Karloff back in the day.
So what kind of agreement do you set up with bands then? Do you just go release to release basis, or do you have?
Well, it has kind of changed a bit over the years. When we started it up, we actually used to ask the bands for £250 from them to help make it financially possible. So we just didn't have any money. I just got £1,000 overdraft from the bank and went for it, the same way I normally do things. But it kind of worked out. I mean, the idea was always that, the reality is that selling records can be quite profitable. And if you ever do have a successful album, then yes, both the label and the band will make a little bit of money out of it. We had 1 or 2 successes early on. We did Drive Blind's EP was our 7th release, and that sold 600-700 copies, and Drive Blind went on to go and get signed to A&M in America and stuff. So you had some fortunate bits early on that kind of helped it make us work.
To be home, is it 'cause the streets don't know me anymore? My heart will shake and my eyes will close as I get out of this minor confused state. Confused state. They say I'm trying too hard. This is home versus home. A candle goes and a telephone will indicate this is where you belong. Start your point, we'll check you out. Is it home that makes you scared to be alone? And my heart will shake and my eyes will close as I get out of this minor confused state. Confused state. They say I'm out of my mind. This is home versus home. A candle goes and a telephone will indicate this is where you belong. I lost love. You lost your father. I know it doesn't compare. My heart in your despair, but it's all part of home versus home. I lost love. You lost your father. I know it doesn't compare. My heart in your despair, but it's a part of home versus home.
was Home versus Home by the X-Certs, who I suppose you could consider one of your early successes that you were mentioning earlier. So is there anything in particular that you look for in a band before you do you approach bands and offer them a deal, or do bands come and speak to you and you ask them, they ask you, or?
I mean, it's been all of the above over the years. I mean, we've tried everything. I mean, we used to get sent a lot of CDs. We still do get sent a lot of emails and some CDs. And there are one or two bands over the years that have just received a demo CD, listened to it, and thought, I go on it. A lot of the time, they do approach us. But I suppose a lot of the time the other thing is it's people that we already kind of know. Because the other thing you realise after running a label for a number of years is that you are essentially, like you say, it's like a bank loan. You are kind of employing people to work with, and you inevitably are drawn towards employing people to work with that you enjoy working with. So there's a lot of stuff outside of the actual music itself are the reasons why you sign bands. The ones that are able to be honest about it and say, look, I can only do this. We can only do, like the Lorelei thing, we can only do 30 gigs a year, but we really want to do this. And you're like, well, I like the music. I like the fact that they're honest about it. Let's go for it, And then other times it might be a young band and they've just got that energy. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Some of the young bands just have this passion and energy and drive for music. You're kind of like, I don't even care if I think you're terrible. Let's just go for it anyway. Well, no, I mean, what does it matter if I think they're terrible or not? Because music is all perspective. And at the end of the day, it's art. Art is to get a reaction. Me thinking something terrible is a reaction, therefore it worked. It's, well, I mean, I just try to make the point that it's not really down to my musical taste. I do release stuff that I'm personally not that into, but I really like the band and their energy and passion for it. So that's why I get behind them and support them, because you want to help people that are doing everything they can to do it themselves anyway. They're always the best people to help, if you see what I mean. Yeah,
absolutely. So I know that you have the Battle of the Bands things as well. You've had a couple of those, haven't you?
We've done two that have resulted in people getting signed to the label. We did one back in Drummonds in, I don't know, 2004 or something like that.
So do you judge those?
Yes.
Are you a judge?
Yeah, totally.
So are these things you look for? Like, do you chat to the bands afterwards and like kind of you get a feel of who they are? Does that affect?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And even more so with the last one that we did at Downstairs at the start of 2014. You actually make a point of going to the bands and going, well, that was pretty good. I'll get you through this round and stuff, and well done and congratulations. But if you go up in the quarterfinal and play that, you're getting nowhere. Well, you do. I mean,
Well, that's good. You give some sort of guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just try and be honest. I suppose also you're kind of looking for a response. If you go out to a band and tell them that they're okay, but they really need to pull their finger out and do more, and they've got 3 weeks till the next time they perform in front of you. If they come back and just play the same set, you're like, well, I really want you on my label if you're not going to respond to the opportunity and,
Oh, so do you never kind of look at the sort of back catalogue and think, right, okay, I think we've got too many metal bands, so let's try and find an acoustic singer-songwriter, or we have too many indie bands, let's try and find something like this. Do you ever intentionally try and vary it, or?
Not particularly, no. I mean, it is something that's strange about Fat Hippy, and I think it's something the public sometimes have struggled with, is that we aren't a genre-based record label, which of course the large part of record labels nowadays are. We're very into metal, very into acoustic, very into electronic, very into new wave, whatever it is. Fat Hippy has always been a geographically based label where we predominantly like to help musicians in our own area and people that we see that are trying and just need a little bit of support. So if it happens to be 10 metal bands in a row, then so be it.
I bear you thoughts of warmth and longing. These streets I've wandered, the ones I've never gone wandering. Find peace in tall buildings, akin to night swimming, the swiftness of winds rising. just on my return. I have forever meant to keep waiting for me and welcome my return. I have forever meant to
And that was Any Given City by IndianRedLopez, who, again, you helped put stuff out a couple of years ago now, I think. But then, and then recently you signed Craig John Davidson.
Well, he'd been on the label for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, well, we released his first album in April 2013.
Oh, wow. I thought it was just last year you signed him.
Oh, okay.
But, oh well, just goes to show how up to date I am. But how's that going?
When I signed him, quite a few people asked me why, and I kept saying it's because every time I've seen him for the last 4 years, he's either been getting kicked down into the dirt or been getting up and dusting himself down and starting again. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's the guy you want. He doesn't care that if somebody doesn't like his music or whatever. He has to do it. And that's who Craig is. He has to write music. I suppose if I'm completely honest from a label point of view, and I've never made any money out of Craig. His first album hasn't broken even yet. We released all of his back catalogue on digital towards the end of last year. Mm-hmm. We're doing a new album that comes out at the end of May. And if the sort of format for solo artists continues the way it is, it'll probably be, a good couple of years yet till 5 makes anything out of Craig John Davidson or even gets all its money back. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that's not the point. People love his music. He gets great reviews. He gets the comparisons to Elliott Smith and stuff like that. And, obviously we all went to LA together and played some dates with Terry at the end of 2013. And, we've done some amazing stuff and had some awesome journeys together.
I suppose that's actually something I was going to ask you about as well, as when you sign a band, is that you do record them in the studio as part of the deal? Or do you still make them record for pay, like recording time?
No, again, every deal's different. Some of the bands just turn up, they've already got a recording that they did somewhere else that they're really happy with, and they just want some help releasing it, and sometimes we do it that way, and other bands they get to record in the studio and stuff, and, get essentially unlimited time if it's a band that we believe in and stuff, and especially once you've developed a relationship with them,
that was Thank You, Lucille by Craig John Davidson, taken from the new album that's coming out soon called King Repulsion on Fat Hippy Records. I suppose, yeah, I'm leading up. Well, you were talking about Live at Captain Tom's, or we were speaking about it. I hadn't really mentioned it before earlier.
No.
But, so what made you want to start doing that? Because it's quite an unusual thing, I think. Like, it's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I would ever think of. It's just the way my brain works. You know, it's a bit like you walk into a kitchen, you see noodles and carrots and trout, and you're like, well, I know what I can make out of that.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing with a lot of the stuff that I've done in the music scene in Aberdeen. The pieces are there. So it was all the Steve Bruce gig that was the catalyst for the whole thing. Obviously, we put on that big gig at the Lemon Tree to remember Steve. And the CHAPcast guys that do all the video stuff were chums of Nathan from Turning 13s. One of the guys went to his gym regularly, and they were helping Nathan out shooting events for Nathan, fighting events and so on. And they offered completely for free to come and get involved and stream Steve's gig. And that night, kind of at the end of it, a few of us were standing around, and, you know, with all those pieces there in front of us, it was kind of inevitable that we would go, wait a minute, you could do your own TV show. Just, you know, the CHAPcast guys were there, and they're just ace guys. You're like, well, okay, well, you've got the technology to do that. We've got a studio. There's a load of gear. There's a load of bands. And, you know, it wasn't like I was looking for something new or particularly wanted to be online or shooting videos. It's just the pieces were there. And I suppose the emotion that was created that night was a big part of it as well. You know, having 550 people all together and just seeing how strong the scene could be, and, you know, the usual, terrible that it took something like that for us all to come together. But I think that night we all kind of wanted to do something, very much left with an energy for it. And I suppose, like any of us, when we lose something, you want to try and make some positive out of it, or give something back in a way. And
so did you come up with the formula of it with the two presenters and bands do one song each?
I try and let things happen. Very much my approach in life is to take a group of creative people, put them at a table together and go on it. Just do whatever you want and just let it happen, because, you know, otherwise what is the point in having creative people? I don't understand taking creative people and telling them which way to be creative, because they tend not to respond very well to it. So I try and just organise the basics. I do most of the booking of the bands, and then I give the presenters an idea, the direction and the general vibe I'd like the show to have, and I'd like it to be positive and to keep reiterating the strength about the scene and speaking to people about that. But for want of a better phrase, the classic, we all stand on the shoulders of giants. And there are a lot of people behind the scenes that nobody ever sees at Live at Captain Tom's that do a huge amount of work, that help out writing questions, help out with ideas for the show and stuff, and, you know, do a lot of the dressing of the whole thing and preparing for it. So, you know, it's never just one person doing one thing.
I know that you've always got Badger in doing sound stuff.
But same thing, you know, it's in the way that I like to do things. If Badger's got a really good idea for a question for a band, I'm not going to go, well, you're a sound man, I'm not listening to you. Of course I'm going to listen. And if it's a good question, it will get asked. You know, and it's kind of the way I like it to be for the creative things we're involved with, is that, you know, people come forward with ideas. I don't care where they come from or who they are. You know, I'm trying to label them all, if you see what I mean.
All right, well, I suppose that's us done. So thanks for letting me ask you some questions.
Thanks very much for coming and asking them to me.
That's all right. Get any exciting things for the future for Fat Hippy and stuff like that before we finish?
We're getting a new date for our album. Comes out on Monday. Launch gig at Lemon Tree on Friday. Although who knows when this will actually go up, whether if it'll still be that. But yeah, you know what I mean. And the new Craig John Davidson album at the end of May. New Lorelei album that highly anticipated, that's coming at the end of June. And that's as far as the plan goes at the moment.
Okay,
there's a whole load of stuff on the back burner, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well, I look forward to hearing all this stuff. And thanks again for letting me ask you some questions and stuff. Anyway, before I close up, I just want to apologise for waiting so long between episodes. The last one was about a month ago, I think. But I have been busy working on some things, some quite exciting stuff that I'll announce soon. But anyway, to finish this episode up, I'm going to play a song by Katey Siren and featuring Katey Red and Jesse Slayter. And this is out on Tough Wax Records. I've been listening to the song quite a lot. It just seems to kind of like get stuck in my head. Anyway, if you guys want to get in touch or send some demos in or anything like that, a song that you want to play me to listen to, maybe play on the show, then feel free. The email address is CHAPcastshow@gmail.com. All right, thanks again for listening, guys, and I will see you in episode 6 very soon.
Y'all ain't ready for this shit. When I get the mic, I mean business. These dumb assholes, they get stupid. But if you play with me, you gon' get this shit. Respect me, bitch, cause I've been doing this for years. Respect me, bitch, it is what it is. Respect me, bitch, cause I've been doing this for years. Lady Ray, she be everywhere. I am the maker and creator of this whole rap game. I got some lyrics, wanna hear it, but you hold the shame. I am that bass, I am that boom, I am the sound in your ear. I'm the one that speak up, the voice in your ear. Now this right here might make a bitch cry, and this right here might make a bitch die. This song right here, motherfuckers don't try. I be ready for anything, and I ain't gonna lie. Oh, wiggity 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 wop, wiggity 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 wop, wiggity 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 wop, wiggity wop, wiggity wop, wiggity wop. Oh, wobbly 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 wop, wobbly 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 wop, wobbly 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 wop, wobbly 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 wop. Now you can joke if you want, Now you can joke if you want,
That's the key to Siren. That's how you know I'm in the building.
Now you can joke if you want, Katey Red, cause you slipping and she down, ya. I thought I told you motherfuckers I ain't bout ya. And if you don't like me, stick around her, around her. Cause I'm the first pone. Respect my mind, bitch, cause I'ma get paid. Respect my mind, bitch, cause I'ma do